Hi, my students. I hope you are okay. Today, our lesson is a grammar lesson. It's about misplaced and dangling modifier. Okay, parts or misplaced modifier. When building a sentence, avoid needless separation of related parts of the sentence. So, actually, a misplaced modifier is positioned in a sentence so that it's unclear which word or which phrase or which clause actually is modified. So, misplaced parts. Modifiers such as almost, only, just, even, hardly, nearly, and merely should be placed immediately before the words they modify. For example, when I say, my mother only works on Saturdays and Sundays. Actually, the sentence indicates or clarifies that the mother only works, she doesn't eat, sleep, or talk. So misplaced parts, we must place the modifier before a different word so the sentence is clearly understood. As we talked before, any modifier should be closer to its word, its phrase, its clause. For example, when I say again, my mother only works, but here, my mother works only. It should be like that. By the way, for your information, okay, misplaced and dangling modifier for the lesson of today, actually, they are wrong. We should correct them. So when I say my mother only works on Saturdays and Sundays, actually, it's supposed to be my mother works only on Saturdays and Sundays. So as you see over here, misplaced parts, actually, another example about misplaced modifier. Her job is to find newspaper articles about handgun use in the library. So it should be her job in the library is to. So over here, in a modifying phrase, should clearly indicate what the phrase modifies. This is about misplaced modifier. So another clarification, actually, modifying clauses should be placed near the words they modify, like as you see over here in the example and the correct sentence. This is about misplaced modifier. Now let's go to dangling modifiers, the second sort, the second kind of our modifier. Actually, a modifier that opens in a sentence must be followed immediately by the word it's meant to describe. Otherwise, the result or actually is a dangling modifier. So if we saw a sentence like that, it's gonna be actually a dangling modifier. So actually it's a wrong statement or actually wrong technique. So let's see a dangling modifier. Here is an example of the dangling modifier. Jumping from limb to limb, the spectators at the zoo were delighted by the monkeys. The spectators at the zoo were delighted by the monkeys. Here, spectators weren't jumping, were they? But that's the trouble with the dangling modifier. Your sentences take on actually in not in an actually in wrong way. You cannot decide whether which one I mean. So over here, let's correct the sentence about the monkeys. So over here, I'm gonna to tell you the sentence in an incorrect way. Jumping from limb to limb, the spectators at the zoo were delighted by the monkeys. Of course, no, here the correct one. Jumping from limb to limb, the monkeys delighted the spectators at the zoo. So we corrected already the sentence to be in a correct way, in a correct form, not to be in a dangling form. So how did the sentence change? Let's explain. We put the subject right after the opening word group, okay? Jumping from limb to limb. So where is or who is the subject? It's the monkeys, okay? So the monkeys near the verb that modifies, delighted. So the monkeys delighted the spectators whom actually people, okay, at the zoo. So can we fix actually the sentence in another way? Yes, we can. We can place the subject within the opening word group. Like when I say, while the monkeys. Do you remember when we had studied the actually different sorts of clauses? okay, we had studied independent clause and subordinate clause. By the way, you can start with one of the subordinators, like while over here. While is one of subordinators, so we usually use them in modifiers. So I use while the monkeys were jumping from limb to limb, they delighted the spectators at the zoo. So let's review correcting dangling modifiers, okay? Decide on a logical subject and do on the following. I'm gonna actually write some examples for you.